dum. Ay da 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 dum. Yay da 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 da. Yay da 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 da. Ay 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 da da da. Yay, da 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 da. Yay, da 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 da. Yay, da 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 da. Yay, da 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 da. Ay 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 da 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 da. Ay 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 da da da. Good morning, Boker Tov. A couple minutes late on here. Just finished with a student. And here we are. Ki Tavo is a parsha that has lots of little nuggets of information, but talks about a few things that I really appreciate, I think is the right words. We talked about building a fence around whatever the place is so that somebody won't fall rather than letting somebody fall and building a fence. And we talked about this, and this is what was part of Kitetse. That was what we worked on. And so now we're at Kitavo, which is slightly different. It's just like the next portion. Hold on. My computer decided to shut. Weird. Okay. Here it is. I don't know what happened. So, in Kitavo, we went from saving people before or attempting to shift our minds to be ahead of the game. Now we're arriving. So we're recognizing the good. Don't forget to notice that we've arrived somewhere. We've arrived at this better place. So as Kitavo opens, the beginning, it begins with the Israelites finally preparing to do something that they have spent years imagining would happen. They're going to enter the promised land. And Moses says to them, when you enter the land that the eternal your God is giving you, or is giving you, not has, it's not past tense, is giving you as an inheritance, and you possess it and you settle in it. They are instructed, the Israelites, to take the first fruits of the land, place them in a basket, and bring them to the high priest and make some sort of declaration. And as the declaration begins, I acknowledge this day before the Eternal One, our God, that I have entered the land that God swore to our ancestors to give us. Okay, it doesn't seem any kind of monumental or amazing or mind-blowing. But I love it because after 40 years, after Egypt, after slavery, after the Sea of Reeds or the Red Sea, after Sinai, after hunger, after thirst, after complaining, after wandering, after loss, after wondering whether they would actually get there, it says, when you arrive, don't forget to notice that you've arrived. I think it's a lesson for all of us because human beings are remarkably good at moving the finish line. We spend years and years or amounts of time hoping for something, praying for something, working towards something, and it finally happens, and we're already on to the next thing. Whether it's worrying, whether it's working towards another goal, like you hit this checkpoint, like acknowledge that you're there. But we don't because we're already worrying immediately about what's coming next. I'll be happy when. when I finish school, when I get a new job, when the kids are older, when life settles down, when we get through this difficult season, when things will become easier. That's a joke. And then we arrive, and instead of stopping to recognize the moment, we find another destination. Ki Tavo, this week's Parsha, says stop. Pick up the basket. Look at what grew. Remember where you started. And acknowledge that you're there. That is Hakarat Tov. Loosely translated as gratitude, but literally meaning recognizing the good. Not creating the good, not pretending everything is good, simply recognizing that the good is already there. And I think it's important, especially as we head into the holy days, we're reminded that gratitude does not require us to deny what is difficult. When the Israelites bring their first fruit, they don't erase their history. In fact, their declaration specifically reminds and remembers, my ancestor was wandering in, it remembers Egypt, it remembers suffering, it remembers oppression, it remembers redemption. That's Jewish gratitude. Not everything was wonderful, but everything wasn't wonderful, and still, look what grew. And I love that distinction, because sometimes we think gratitude means we shouldn't complain, or we shouldn't grieve, or we shouldn't acknowledge what hurts. But Judaism is not asking that. We can remember the wilderness and celebrate the fruit. We can acknowledge what was lost and be grateful for what remains. We can say that was incredibly hard, and also look how far I've come. And both can be true. And perhaps the first fruits themselves are teaching us something. The farmer doesn't bring every piece of fruit, just the first fruit, a small offering. Because gratitude doesn't require everything to be perfect. Sometimes we just got to find one thing, one person, one moment, one blessing, one sign that something has grown where we once thought nothing could. One sign that something has grown where we once thought nothing could. There's another part of that ritual that I find beautiful. The farmer has to say the words out loud. It isn't enough to feel grateful. He declares, I have arrived. Maybe sometimes we need to do that too. To stop long enough to say, I made it through that. I learned something. I grew. I'm different now. I'm still here. Because the journey isn't over. There'll always be another journey. But because if we never pause to recognize how far we've come, we can spend an entire lifetime moving forward without ever realizing we've arrived anywhere. So let's think about ourselves a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10, it doesn't matter. What were you praying for then that is part of your ordinary life now? What did you ever wonder whether or not you could survive it? And somehow, at some point, you did. And perhaps most importantly, when was the last time you stopped long enough to recognize how far you have come? Beloved friends, Ki Tavo teaches us that gratitude begins with noticing. Noticing what has grown, noticing who helped us along the way, noticing the blessings that once were prayers, and noticing the person we have become through the journey. May we never become so focused on where we're going to forget to honor where we've been. May we carry our memories without allowing them to keep us from recognizing today's blessings. May we find something, even something so small, to place in our basket. And every once in a while, may we have the courage to stop, to look around, and to say, I haven't arrived everywhere I hope to go, but I've come a long way. And for this moment, I am grateful. Thank you for being here with me this morning, Bonnie and Corey, Reb Tova, Bet, Jennifer, Suze. For whoever else is watching that didn't check in, we'll watch it at some other point. Just remember, we are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 9:30. Have a great day, everybody. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai.